What if I told you that some of the things that you consume almost every day might be silently contributing to inflammation, metabolic disorders, and even premature aging? And the scary part, you might not feel anything happening because chronic inflammation does not usually come with a warning sign. But before I tell you what foods I'm talking about, let me introduce myself. My name is Geetikka, and I'm a healthcare professional and a pharmacist with more than 20 years of experience in patient care and medicine. And my goal on this channel is very simple, to make you understand your health, your nutrition, and your medication without creating unnecessary fear or misinformation. And today's topic is especially important because there's so much conflicting information available online. Someone says seed oils are toxic, another one says they're completely harmless. Someone says a glass of alcohol, especially wine, is good for your heart. Another one says never touch alcohol. So many claims available online. Let's separate these claims from what scientific evidence actually tells us. First of all, let's clear one thing, inflammation is not bad. Your body needs inflammation. If you cut your finger or get an infection, inflammation is body's defense and repair process. The concern is chronic low-grade inflammation and metabolic dysfunction that can accompany unhealthy lifestyle patterns over time. And that's where the diet becomes much more important. But I want you to remember one thing throughout the video. No single food determines your health. The overall pattern is much more important. Let's start with one of the most controversial topics on social media, seed oils. You've probably heard that they're toxic. Omega 6 causes inflammation. Canola oil and soybean oil are poisoning your body. Is that true? Linoleic acid is one of the most common polyunsaturated fats found in most of the seed oils. But when researchers looked at randomized controlled trials, increasing linoleic acid intake did not significantly increase inflammatory markers such as CRP, IL-6, or TNF alpha. So I'm not going to tell you that seed oils are poison, but here is the interesting part. Where do we consume them? Chips, deep fried foods, fast food, cookies, packaged snacks, highly processed meals. So when somebody eliminates seed oils and suddenly feels better, it may not be because the seed oil itself was causing inflammation. They may have eliminated an entire category of highly processed food, and that is an important distinction. But there is another issue. Repeatedly heating and reusing oil at high temperatures can generate oxidation products. So, my advice is, do not fear every seed oil. Reduce deep frying and heavily processed foods and focus on the overall quality of your diet. For every meals, extra virgin olive oil is an excellent option, and do not repeatedly reuse frying oil. Now let's talk about something that I think needs much more attention, ultra processed foods. But even here, I do not want you to be afraid of every packaged food, but let's look at the ingredients researchers are investigating. One of them is emulsifiers. But that does not mean every emulsifier causes leaky gut. The human evidence is still developing. These are the ingredients that helps food stay smooth and prevents separation. You may see names such as carboxymethyl cellulose, cellulose gum, or polysorbate 80. Why are scientists interested in them? Because your gut has a very important protective barrier, and researchers are studying whether certain emulsifiers can alter the gut microbiome and intestinal environment. So instead of memorizing 50 chemical names, ask yourself a simpler question. How much of my diet comes from foods that look like they were made in a factory rather than a kitchen? That question is often much more useful. Now, this one I would pay much more attention to, sugary drinks. Soda, sweetened tea, energy drinks, boba, sweetened coffee, and some drinks marketed as healthy. Why? Because liquid sugar is very easy to consume quickly. You can eat one orange, get fiber, water, and vitamin C. But you can drink sugar from several oranges in just few minutes. But it does not mean that one juice, one boba, one soda ages you for 4 to 6 years. However, there are studies that show that Regularly consuming sugar sweetened beverages isn't a great habit. So, if you drink them every day, that's where I'd start. Not with perfection, but with reduction. Next, bacon, salami, sausage, hot dogs, many processed deli meats. This is where the evidence becomes much more stronger. The International Agency for Research on Cancer classifies processed meat as carcinogenic to humans, particularly because of its association with colorectal cancer. About 50 grams of processed meat per day was associated with approximately an 18% higher relative risk of colorectal cancer. And remember, processed meat and unprocessed red meat are not the same. So, my practical advice: make processed meat an occasional food rather than an everyday staple, and build more meals around fish, eggs, poultry, beans, lentils, vegetables, and whole grains. Now, let's talk about something that is controversial: red wine. You've heard a glass of wine is good for your heart, but here's the problem: you don't need alcohol to get polyphenols. You can get beneficial plant compounds from berries, grapes, vegetables, nuts, and extra virgin olive oil. Alcohol itself carries health risks. The WHO states that no level of alcohol consumption can be considered completely risk free. Alcohol is classified as group 1 carcinogen and is linked to several kinds of cancers. So, if you do not drink alcohol, do not start drinking thinking that it's healthy. Now, I don't want this video to leave you with the things you are scared to eat, because healthy eating is not about just removing the foods, it's about eating the right ones. Start with fiber, beans, lentils, vegetables, whole fruits, whole grains, nuts, and seeds. Then add fermented food if they work for you. If you eat seafood, include fatty fish like salmon, sardines, mackerel regularly, and use extra virgin olive oil as one of the healthy fat sources. Let me give you 5 changes that you can actually start from this week. Number 1, replace one sugary drink with water or an unsweetened beverage. Number 2, replace processed meat with eggs, fish, poultry, or beans. Number 3, add one extra serving of vegetables every day. Number 4, replace one packaged snack with fruit, nuts, or yogurt. Number 5, if you drink alcohol regularly, reduce the frequency and amount. Do not try to change everything from tomorrow. Pick one, make it automatic, and build it from there. I want you to remember one thing from the entire video. Your body is not damaged by one unhealthy meal, and your body is not made healthy by one superfood. Health is built through repetition. The food you eat most of the days, the drink you reach more often, how well do you sleep, how much do you move, how well do you manage stress. Do not be afraid of food. Understand it. Do not chase the nutrition trends. Understand the evidence.